want to talk on what you spoke about, feeling good, not being
realizing
aware
how
of
bad you felt.
what good feels like versus what good doesn't. And that's what I just simply just call the life's contrast. Like you can dial, if you think about your thermostat, you can dial up the contrast or you can turn your contrast down, take an ice bath, take a sauna, realize what it's like to be hungry, realize what it's like to be overfed, realize what it's like to hurt. And then hopefully put yourself in a position to realize what it's like not to hurt. And then those decisions that you're making on a daily basis provide the roadmap. It's like a GPS. Turn left. Don't turn left. Stay straight, right? So there's a commencement speech. I don't know who even said this, but you've heard about the fish. There's this fish in the water. You know what I'm talking about? So there's an old fish heading out from the reef, and on his way out of the reef, he passes these two young fish who are coming back in, and he says, "Morning, boys. How's the water?" And they don't say anything, and they swim on by. Do you know this reference?
I've never heard this.
And then the two young fish look at each other and say, "What is water?" So it's like this subconscious unawareness of what state you're in at all times.
Yes.
Until you pay attention to it, you don't even realize
you don't
it's
even
there.
recognize it. Yeah.
So yes, you made a bunch of decisions to improve yourself, and then along the way, you stumbled upon things for you that made you feel better or things for you that made you feel worse.
Yeah.
And then that helped. I know it's a binary and a very simplistic way of thinking, but it helps us make our decisions in a way that hedges the bets in our favor.
Yeah.
Now, all that to say, strength training is very important. I don't think you have to train heavy 6 days a week. I think there are some basic principles of movement one should follow. We can cover those if you wanted. So squatting,
Yeah.
double leg bending is what we call squatting.
Yep.
Hinging,
Yep.
deadlifting, things of that nature. A hinge, pushing from all directions with your upper body, pulling from all directions with your upper body. Unilateral work, which involves a single leg or a single arm. So you could think lunging or single arm rowing or carrying or et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And then just learning in ranges for yourself. So most of us aren't, most of probably your audience and those who are like me are painfully unaware of what immobilities, because there'll be more than
that
one
we have
that we need to potentially work against, and then learning how to stabilize in those positions. So I don't know if that covered the full gamut, but
and I think what you said really too, what I want to touch on for people is it doesn't mean that you're going to be spending 2 hours a day in the gym 5 or 6 days a week. No. Actually, we recommend that you don't do that.
Right. Yeah. And when we say weightlifting, essentially it's kind of a boiled down term to mean moving self in addition to something else. Some people call it resistance training. You can do it on a machine. It doesn't matter. So long as you are using something in excess of you to resist gravity.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a snatch or a clean and jerk or anything silly like that. It can be, but it doesn't need to be. It certainly doesn't need to be from the kick. You need to learn the principles of movement long before you add any intensity or heavy weights.
Yeah.
Understand where your body is in space. Understand what it should feel like, understand what it shouldn't feel like. I realize this is really getting into the granular, but 2 to 3 times a week is minimum effective dose, which I think ultimately everybody wants to hear.
Yeah, and everybody...
And that's not to say sets of 1 or 2 or 3. I think the safe range is 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps, and you hit the sweet spot on any of those exercises.
Yeah. And I think that feels so much more doable than what most of us think it means.
Right.
And for me, I notice at my age and with my the way I deal with stress and process stress is I have to really be careful because I have a tendency to go too hard and then I will pay for it. I'll notice it, in my Oura ring, my recovery won't be well, my heart rate will be elevated for a couple days. I won't sleep great. So I really have to pay attention to myself. And when I first started, it was so exciting to me to learn the new things and to, be there doing this, workout with people that I've come to know and love, that I wouldn't pay attention to me as much. And now I'm way better at saying, oh, maybe today I don't want to go.
Noticing the water.
I'm noticing the water. Yeah. And I will say that, I think that I could very likely, and this is what I've been doing. We've had a lot of travel and, a lot of things. I mostly have been doing it 3 days a week, doing a lot of walking and just moving, just staying active when I'm home. But I would say that I've been on average, 3 days a week, I would say that has some resistance training to it. 3 to 4 days a week where I'm doing a workout at the gym. But I totally believe that you can transform yourself. It doesn't have to feel like you're,
So I think a lot of us are prone to believing there's some sort of secret and there's some sort of like a paywall on the internet. If I pay for this paywall, I will have the answers. The good news is we're not some keepers of the secret, right? This stuff's really basic. And I don't want to presume or anyone to presume that I've come up with any of this information. These are basic human movements.
Yeah.
Done in a lot of variety.
Yep.
That don't require any complexity. You can YouTube a video and learn any of this stuff.
Yep.
And learn it from a source smarter than me, so long as you're consistent with it. Now,
Yeah.
that's the resistance training side. The other side of that coin is you want your heart and your lungs to be healthy. So aerobic work matters. You're talking about walking.